Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. We've got a really fun yarn haul coming up. Mowgli wanted to help assist with this one because he's been sniffing these bags for quite a minute now and he wants to see what's inside. So let's go ahead and break them open, y'all. We've got a massive yarn unboxing to show you guys. I'm really excited. Of course, Hobie is teaming up with me to show you guys their new yarn, which is the Hobie Glitter Delight. Oh my gosh, these colors are stunning. They actually sent me a ton of different colors. So before I get into all of the logistics and the information, I just want to show you the different colorways that I have been sent. So to start off, we've got this really gorgeous pastel pink with like little hints of peachy orange here and yellow in the center. So this is actually colorway number 1. I love this. This is going to be a really great spring summery transition type of yarn. And then next up, this might be my favorite. You guys know I love the blues and the greens and the aquas. So this is like a really nice lime pastel green with bright pops of turquoise blue here in the center, and this is colorway number 6. So off the bat, I'm going to say that this is already my favorite colorway. Next up, we have colorway number 2, and if you guys are looking for a bright and vibrant rainbow kind of yarn, this is going to be your go-to. And then last but not least, I have colorway number 7, which is the nice deep ocean blue with hints of aqua and turquoise. So I'm actually going to go ahead and pull out another skein of the same number 6 colorway. So this is that lime green aqua type of color, but the same skein again on the inside of the ball, you actually have a lot more of this like blue, I don't know, it's like dark blue and turquoise that run throughout the skein. So I don't want you guys to be mistaken, although it looks nice and pastel on the outside, on the inside of the skein, you are going to have a lot of color variation. So when it comes to the Hobie Glitter Delight, there's actually probably a ton of different projects that you guys can make with this kind of yarn, just because the variegation is so drastic. But I love these colors. I'm actually going to go ahead and pull out colorway number 1 again, because although I'm not the biggest fan of pinks, I really do enjoy this really deep lavender lilac shade. And of course, like I showed you guys earlier, there's a lot of like peachy orange and yellow within this. So if you guys are looking for a lot more of a subtle type of yarn, then I would head for the number 6 or even the blue colorway here, which again is number 7, just because the colors are a lot more subdued. It's a lot more tonal. But again, if you guys are looking for pops of color, I would definitely head over to this bright pinky pastel purple color, or of course the number 2 rainbow colorway by Hobie Glitter Delight. So if I'm not mistaken, the Hobie Glitter Delight is essentially a white based yarn with little pops or a lot of pop of color. And in case you guys couldn't tell, there's also a nice amount of glitter metallic that is spun throughout this entire yarn. So no matter what color or section of the yarn that you're working on, you are going to get this nice gold metallic in your piece. And I really love that little pop, that extra accentuation of like color and sparkle. And because I know you guys are going to ask, here is a quick little finger swatch of one strand of the Glitter Delight here on my finger. This is actually labeled as a number 5 bulky weight yarn, and I would have to say that this holds true to that. It's a little bit denser than your standard number 4 worsted weight. So to give you guys a little bit more information about the Hobie Glitter Delight, because I know you guys are going to ask, this is actually a 50% acrylic, 49% cotton, and 1% polyester. And of course that polyester comes from the tiny gold strand here. You guys know, as I'm starting to like grow and evolve with my crafting, I have started to shift more towards the mixed fibers. So the fact that this is pretty much acrylic and cotton, this is going to be really comfortable on your skin. Honestly, it feels pretty buttery. And I have to mention, I have to take note that I really like the subtle crimpiness, the subtle wave to the yarn. That on its own will give whatever project that you're working on an extra measure of like texture and bulkiness. So I really like that. So these are the colors that I have been sent by Hobie. Thank you guys again for sending me so much yarn. I have no idea what to do with all of this yet, but you guys know it's been quite a minute since I've worked on a tutorial, and I thought I would throw together a quick cropped cardigan tutorial for you guys. It's starting to heat up over here. It's essentially summer. So I'm thinking, why not throw together a lightweight cropped mini cardigan that you guys can wear out and about, throw over your bandeaus, your dresses, what have you. So I'm going to cue over to that portion here in a second. And really quickly here, before I forget to mention, if you guys are planning on crocheting with Hobie Delight, they do recommend that you use a 7mm crochet hook. So in case you guys don't have a 7mm, go head over to my website, buy my resin crochet hooks that I make by hand. My crochet resin hook sets do include a 7mm crochet hook. So if you guys want to whip up this bad boy, there's your options. And of course, if you are planning on knitting with this yarn, which I also do intend to do in the future, they suggest a 6mm set of knitting needles. So here's a quick little glance at the description or the information of the yarn. Within each ball of yarn, you do get 100 grams, which roughly translates to 3.5 ounces and about 114 meters or yards of yarn. So let's quickly transition into their other new line of yarn, which is their Panettone. This is so unique, and I'm loving these subdued, subtle colors. Again, you guys know I love the greens. I'm really starting to fall in love with more of these earthy tones, like the grays and the browns, more of like your neutral selection. So they actually sent me 3 different colorways of their Panettone yarn. The first colorway comes again in this nice murky earthy toned green. This is colorway number 6. And of course, right off the bat, this has to be my favorite. Next up, we have a really gorgeous like lilac, peach, and gray metallic combination here. This is colorway number 3. And I love this too. Again, really perfect for like springtime, bright, summery colors. And then last but not least, this last shade of Panettone is in colorway number 9. And this has to be another stunner as well. That deep turquoise, again, with hints of white and beige and a little bit of gray here. So in case you guys couldn't notice with the Panettone yarn, this is also wound with a slight bit of shimmer and glitter. But again, it's gonna add a really nice subtle pop of color and texture to your project. So right off the bat, you guys know I have been obsessed with chainette spun yarns, and this is exactly that. Let me go ahead and grab you guys a little swatch, a little strand swatch here on my finger. This is what the Panettone yarn looks like. Again, this is a chainette spun yarn. So I love these kinds of yarns because they're a lot more durable than your standard spun yarn or wound yarn. Now, to give you guys a little bit of information about the Panettone, this is an 87% cotton, 7% polyamide, and 6% metallic fiber. So of course, the metallic fiber is your metallic strands of glitter in there, whereas the rest of the base of this yarn is cotton and polyamide. And again, because this is a chainette spun type of yarn, I do think that these have a little bit more durability and a little bit more stretch than your standard type of yarn. So if you guys have any suggestions on projects that I could make with Panettone, I am more than open ears. I really want to hear you guys' suggestions. The last bit of information I want to note about this yarn is that this is labeled as a number 3 light DK weight yarn. And again, I would say that this definitely holds true to that. Here's another little finger swatch. Although at first glance on my finger, this does kind of look like a number 4 worsted weight, because this is a chainette spun type of yarn. It's pretty like tubular, and I feel like once you start knitting up with this yarn, it's actually going to collapse a lot more. Can you guys see that? It does kind of thin out a little bit, so I would definitely stick to the labeling as a DK weight yarn. And then last but not least, you do get 50 grams, which roughly translates to 120 meters of yarn in this one tiny little ball. So I do want to crochet with this in the future, but honestly, because this is a chainette kind of yarn, I really want to give this a go when it comes to knitting. Again, I feel like a really nice like cardigan, or even like a lightweight mini dress, some kind of like strappy mini dress would look super stunning. And because this is such a nice lightweight kind of yarn, whatever project that you're making is of course going to be very lightweight versus a thicker, denser kind of yarn like this, which might have a little bit more bulkiness and density to it. So these are all the wonderful yarns that I've been sent over by Hobie. Y'all, the collection is ridiculous. It's growing. Thank you guys again so much for gifting me all of this yarn. And before I head over into the tutorial portion of this video, I figured I'd give you a nice side-by-side of the color selections that they have sent me. So gorgeous. There's definitely a color for everybody. You've got the nice vibrant rainbows over here, the more subdued greens and blues, and your gorgeous pastel pink colors. So these again are the Hobie Glitter Delight yarns. Those are your number 5 bulky weighted yarns. And last but not least, a last glance at the Panettone collection that they've sent me. Of course, they do have a ton of other colors online, but these are just some of the ones I picked out and that they decided to send over to me. But just look at that gorgeous sheen, that awesome sparkle. I can't wait to hear what you guys want me to make with this. I'm definitely open for suggestions. So like I said, as promised, let's head back into making tutorials again. I know it's been quite a minute since I've made those, and I figured I would bless y'all with a very simplistic, very basic style cardigan for summer. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's cue over to the tutorial now. I also wanted to take a quick moment to show you guys some of the awesome features on Hobie's website. They have a Hobie Plus membership where you can earn redeemable points as well as 10% off every single order. With Hobie Plus, you have access to special patterns created by designers from all around the world. Hobie's website also offers an entire library of free downloadable patterns, as well as their Hobie Bingo app that you can download right onto your phone, and you have the chance to win real prizes with every single game. All right, hello. We're back for another tutorial. I know it's been a long time coming. So for today's tutorial, I'm going to be crocheting a shrug. So like I showed you guys earlier, I'm going to be using the Hobie Glitter Delight yarn. This yarn is a number 5 bulky weight yarn. And with this yarn, I'm going to be using my 6.0 millimeter crochet hook. So I'm going to start off with my slip knot. So from this point, to create our shawl, we're pretty much making a large rectangle. So now that I have my chain of 78 created right here, I'm going to go ahead and chain 2 more because I'll be using double crochets for the first rows. So I'm going to chain 1 and 2 more. So I've officially created a chain of 78 plus 2 for turning. Always remember, guys, that extra chain 2 does not count as a stitch. And now I'm going to go ahead and place 1 double crochet into the 3rd chain from my hook. So I'm going to insert right here and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. So again, this chain 2 never counts as a stitch. And here is my first official double crochet. So now that I've started off this first row, I'm going to go ahead and place 1 double crochet into each following chain space. So I'm going to yarn over, find the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. So this is what my first row should look like. Pretty easy, pretty simple. I'm going to keep this tutorial as basic as possible because I want all of my beginners out there to be able to follow along. And now that I've reached the end of row 1, I'm going to go ahead and start row 2 by chaining 2. Again, chain 2 does not count as a stitch. And just like row 1, I'm going to be placing 1 double crochet into the top of each stitch. So I'm going to find that very first stitch right here and place a double crochet. And again, finding my next stitch, insert. I'm picking up both of those top loops, by the way. We're not going to be adding any ribbing to this. So make sure that you grab both of those top loops and finish your double crochet. And this is essentially the pattern for row 2 as well. So I'm going to go ahead, finish up this row, and I'll meet you back for row 3. All right, so I've just come to the end of row 2, and this is what your piece should look like. Again, it's just regular old double crochets. So now here for the 3rd row, I'm going to change up the pattern a little bit, and now we're going to start working with treble crochets. So to start off with the treble crochet here for row 3, I'm going to start off with a chain of 3. Keep in mind, trebles are a little bit taller than your double crochet, so we just need an extra chain to reach that height. So now here for row 3, we're going to add a little bit of like a lacy open mesh pattern, if you will. So to start off here for row 3, I'm going to yarn over twice and find that very first stitch in the row, insert my hook and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and one more time, yarn over and pull through 2. So we're just repeating that process 3 times. Looking here for my 2nd stitch, again, I'm going to treble crochet, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is a tongue twister. So now we have 2 treble crochets, and we're just going to go ahead and add one more treble. So yarn over twice and place your treble. So now at the start of row 3, you should have 3 treble crochets in a row, and just disregard that chain 3. So now to create that little bit of an open mesh, open gap pattern, I'm going to chain 2. So now that I have that chain 2, I need to correspondingly skip 2 stitches down here. So I'm going to skip 1 and 2. I'm going to go into my 3rd stitch here with another treble crochet. So yarn over twice and insert your hook into that 3rd stitch from the hook. And then just go ahead and place a treble crochet. Again, yarn over twice and place a treble crochet, and one more time into that next stitch, one more treble crochet. So this is how the pattern is going to go for the 3rd row. I'm going to have 3 treble crochet, chain 2, skip 2, 3 double crochet. So now we're going to pick up with that pattern again. I'm going to chain 2 and skip 2 stitches, go into my 3rd stitch from the hook with the treble crochet. So that's going to be our first treble, placing a 2nd treble crochet, and one more time. So as you guys can see here, that kind of creates a little bit of an open space, a little bit of a gap there. And again, because this is like a bulky weighted yarn, I wanted to create something that had a little bit more airflow, because again, this could get a little bit hot if you created something that is super thick and super dense. So we're just gonna leave these little air ventilations open, and I'm just gonna go ahead and finish up the 3rd row like so. I'm always going to chain 2, skip 2, and place a treble crochet. So after I'm done repeating this pattern, when you reach the very end of your row, you should finish off with 3 treble crochet into the very last 3 stitches. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish up row 3, and I'll meet you back to show you how to work row 4. All right guys, I'm back and I have finished up row 3. As you can tell, I kind of messed up my stitch count, and I'm ending off here with just 1 treble crochet. So I finished with the chain 2, and I only had space for 1 more, so I accidentally messed up my stitch count. But honestly, the edges here of our work are going to be the parts that are kind of tucked underneath our armpits. But I'm just gonna go ahead and stick with this because I am tired of unraveling my work. So here for row 4, again, I'm gonna start off with a chain of 3. And what we're gonna do is we're going to mirror or mimic what we have here for row 3. So because I'm starting off my row here with just the 1 treble crochet underneath, I'm going to start off with 1 treble crochet into this very first stitch. But again, if you make your pattern correct and you start off with 3, make sure that you place 3 treble crochet where there are 3. But anyways, here is my first treble, and now I'm going to mirror what I have down here. So next is my chain 2. I'm going to chain 2, and then into the top of my next 3 treble crochet, I'm just going to place again treble crochets. So I'm picking up that next stitch, again placing a treble crochet where I have a treble crochet, and one more time placing one more treble crochet into the top of that stitch. So that is what my work looks like right here. Next up, I have my chain 2 space, so make sure you chain 2, and now treble crochet where you have treble crochets. So now we're back to that pattern of 3 treble crochet in a row, chain 2, 3 treble crochet. So I'm just going to finish up here. So just mimic whatever your prior row was. Hopefully you get your stitch count correct, unlike me. So this is what row 4 should look like, nice and open and lacy. And I'm just gonna go ahead and finish up row 4. But guess what, guys? Spoiler alert, when you come back for row 5, we're just going to be repeating the pattern that we have right here. So when I start row 5, I'm going to place 1 double crochet for the entire row. Again, for row 6, another row of double crochet. And then for rows 7 and 8, I'm going to go back to this lace mesh pattern. So I'll meet you guys back just to show you what the progress looks like. But this is essentially the pattern that we're going to be having for the entire shrug or bolero. I don't know what you want to call it, but the length of your project is completely up to you. If you want more of a cropped shrug version, then definitely add more rows. Just repeat that same pattern over and over. But of course, you guys know I have to have that cropped version. So I'm not going to make mine too long, and I'll meet you back here to show you my work. All right, I'm back and I finished making the main body of this panel. So this is what that little lace open mesh stitch looks like once it's all worked up. So as you guys can see, I've repeated that pattern a few times here and I have a total of 18 rows. So I actually decided to finish off with a row or 2 rows here of the double crochet. That way it's just symmetrical here to the bottom. So again, this is what the panel is looking like. I like the transition of colors. It doesn't look too shabby. So let's go ahead and bring you in a little bit closer to show you how to finish up this little shrug. So I'm going to go over here to the corner or the edge of one side of my work. And in order to close up the shrug and kind of give it that look, what I'm going to do is grab one corner and fold it down here to the halfway point. And likewise, I'm going to take this bottom corner as well and fold it up until it meets the other corner. So we've kind of got this little triangle action going on here. And the little trick now is to leave a really long tail on the other edge. You're gonna have to attach your yarn as well. And what I'm gonna do is grab my darning needle and I want to weave or sew shut this edge here of my work and make sure that you leave enough of a gap here for your arm to fit through. So I've already measured this piece on my arm and I plan to sew about 3.5 inches of this shut right here. So again, make sure that you're leaving enough of an opening for your arms to fit through, but I have tiny little arms. So this is what I'm going to be doing right now. I have my cute little darning needle right here and I'm just going to sew this little edge here shut. All right, so I've just finished stitching up the side of this like little armhole section here. And like I said, I left this little gap for my arm to fit through nicely. So now the last little touch I'm gonna add to this little shrug, I've gone ahead and just reattached my yarn to the leftover strand here that I slip stitched my work with. And now all I have to do really is just place single crochets in the round until you get a cute little cuff going. So I think I'm gonna aim for around 4 or 5 rows, again, because this is a bulkier type of yarn. I don't need to add too many rows. So I'm just really messily going to be placing single crochets in this little round right here. And now all that's left is to repeat those same steps on the other side of your shrug. So again, just fold those pieces in half, create your little triangle, stitch up your work to make sure you leave a little gap open, and then just go ahead and add some ribbing here to the edge of your cuff, and then your entire shrug is done.
Myself falling